Climbing.
Climbing.
He goes climbing nearly every weekend.
He goes climbing nearly every weekend.
Some animals are very good at climbing.
Some animals are very good at climbing.
He loves camping and climbing.
He loves camping and climbing.
Clock.
Clock.
How much is this clock?
How much is this clock?
He glanced at the clock.
He glanced at the clock.
We should set the alarm clock for 7:30.
We should set the alarm clock for 7:30.
I jumped out of bed as soon as the alarm clock went off.
I jumped out of bed as soon as the alarm clock went off.
Turn off the alarm clock, please.
Turn off the alarm clock, please.
Close.
Close.
Would you mind if I close the window?
Would you mind if I close the window?
He has a large closet in his bedroom.
He has a large closet in his bedroom.
Would you please close that window?
Would you please close that window?
The hotel is close to this area.
The hotel is close to this area.
There's someone hiding in the closet.
There's someone hiding in the closet.
I regard him as a close friend.
I regard him as a close friend.
The store is temporarily closed for renovations.
The store is temporarily closed for renovations.
Unfortunately, the store was closed.
Unfortunately, the store was closed.
We're so close to winning.
We're so close to winning.
He is a close ally of the Prime Minister.
He is a close ally of the Prime Minister.
Would you please close that window?
Would you please close that window?
They decided to close the factory.
They decided to close the factory.
Please close the door quietly.
Please close the door quietly.
Closely.
Closely.
The police questioned him closely.
The police questioned him closely.
If you look closely, you can see a nest in that tree.
If you look closely, you can see a nest in that tree.
This question is closely related to the previous one.
This question is closely related to the previous one.
Are you listening closely?
Are you listening closely?
They are watching what's happening closely.
They are watching what's happening closely.
Clothes.
Clothes.
She looks odd in those clothes.
She looks odd in those clothes.
His clothes were covered with dirt.
His clothes were covered with dirt.
They stare at my clothes with disapproval.
They stare at my clothes with disapproval.
These clothes are finally dry.
These clothes are finally dry.
She always wears fashionable clothes.
She always wears fashionable clothes.
I iron my clothes every morning.
I iron my clothes every morning.
The suitcase contained nothing but dirty clothes.
The suitcase contained nothing but dirty clothes.
His clothes are out of fashion.
His clothes are out of fashion.
She looks odd in those clothes.
She looks odd in those clothes.
His clothes were old, but clean.
His clothes were old, but clean.
She spends a lot of money on clothes.
She spends a lot of money on clothes.
It took me several hours to fold all the clothes.
It took me several hours to fold all the clothes.
She loves to wear tight clothes.
She loves to wear tight clothes.
Take off your wet clothes.
Take off your wet clothes.
Clothing.
Clothing.
I gave them clothing and some food.
I gave them clothing and some food.
Is there a clothing store near here?
Is there a clothing store near here?
I usually buy clothing at a local store.
I usually buy clothing at a local store.
Cloud.
Cloud.
The sun has disappeared behind the cloud.
The sun has disappeared behind a cloud.
Dark clouds gathered in the sky.
Dark clouds gathered in the sky.
The sun disappeared behind the cloud.
The sun disappeared behind a cloud.
The moon emerged from behind the cloud.
The moon emerged from behind the cloud.
The plane flew above the clouds.
The plane flew above the clouds.
The moon emerged from behind the cloud.
The moon emerged from behind the cloud.
Coach.
Coach.
She liked tennis and became a tennis coach.
She liked tennis and became a tennis coach.
This team is trained by a good coach.
This team is trained by a good coach.
The coach accused us of not doing our best.
The coach accused us of not doing our best.
Coat.
Coat.
I like this coat. May I try it on?
I like this coat. May I try it on?
This coat doesn't fit me.
This coat doesn't fit me.
This coat costs $120.
This coat costs $120.
Why don't you take your coat off?
Why don't you take your coat off?
Hang up your coat, please.
Hang up your coat, please.
He hid the envelope underneath his coat.
He hid the envelope underneath his coat.
She put on her coat and went out.
She put on her coat and went out.
Coffee.
Coffee.
He took me to a coffee shop yesterday.
He took me to a coffee shop yesterday.
There's no coffee left in the pot.
There's no coffee left in the pot.
Do you want coffee? No. I prefer tea. Thanks.
Do you want coffee? No. I prefer tea. Thanks.
I need a spoon to stir my coffee.
I need a spoon to stir my coffee.
Is the coffee all right?
Is the coffee all right?
He ordered a cup of coffee.
He ordered a cup of coffee.
We went out for a coffee.
We went out for a coffee.
She is going downstairs to take a cup of coffee.
She is going downstairs to take a cup of coffee.
This coffee is too bitter.
This coffee is too bitter.
I always drink a cup of coffee in the morning.
I always drink a cup of coffee in the morning.
Would anyone like more coffee?
Would anyone like more coffee?
Why don't you come in for a cup of coffee and a chat?
Why don't you come in for a cup of coffee and a chat?
Would you like tea or coffee?
Would you like tea or coffee?
Could I have some more coffee?
Could I have some more coffee?
Which do you prefer? Tea or coffee?
Which do you prefer? Tea or coffee?
Coin.
Coin.
She opened her purse and took out a coin.
She opened her purse and took out a coin.
I like collecting gold and silver coins.
I like collecting gold and silver coins.
The boy throws the coin through the window.
The boy throws the coin through the window.